Ladies and gentlemen, it's your sweet Zionist prince, Tal, the traveling clad, here from the Holy Land. And today we've got an Al Jazeera special with the genius behind Mehdi Hassan, who is obviously one of the most intelligent people in the Israel-Palestine conversation. Let's take a look.
We have Diana Boutou, who's a Palestinian lawyer in Israel, former advisor to the PLO. Emmanuel Navon is an international relations lecturer at Tel Aviv University. Daniel Levy is a former Israeli peace negotiator, president of the U.S. Middle East Peace Project. Diana, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about genocide, because we started the show talking about genocide. Benny very adamantly says it's absurd. There's many definitions. You're a lawyer. What do you make of that?
Look, Benny is exactly what I expect him to be, which is a genocide denier and a genocide apologist. Every human rights organization has been defining this as a genocide. We have the ICJ that has come out and said that there's plausible case for genocide.
Nobody, by the way, has definitively said that it's a genocide besides Palestinian organizations. They're the only ones. Every other international conglomerate of human rights or whatever BS they call themselves has been pending on it, looking for evidence. None have come out to say definitively, other than Arab or Palestinian sources, that it is a genocide, and we know that there's a clear bias there, because clearly it's not a genocide.
And yet we're to believe the Israelis, the only people who say that it isn't a genocide. Israel's allowed to be a colonizer. Israel's allowed to do what it pleases, and that Palestinians just have to sit by idly and take it. And this is the fundamental problem with Zionism. But we, Palestinians, are the ones who feel Zionism on our bodies. We've paid for it with our lives. We've paid for it with our land. This attempt to redefine Zionism will go nowhere, because you know, and the world knows, it's a
Hold on, I'm going to bring in all the panel.
It's a colonial...
All right. Emmanuel, you teach international relations in Israel. Is there a recognition there that a lot of the world governments, allies of Israel, as well as the usual human rights groups, are very critical, at a minimum, of the way that Israel has prosecuted what's going on in Gaza?
Well, first of all, Diana said we're feeling Zionism. You're right, you're feeling it, because the only place in the Middle East where Arabs are free is Israel. And so the freedom that you have...
I love how they just filled the room with like far lefty white people wearing keffiyehs. How many of those people know that keffiyeh was culturally appropriated by Palestinians from Iraq? Did you guys know? Have you guys seen my video? You guys should watch my video if you haven't, about the fact that this is not Palestinian. How many people in that room are wearing that? This is not a Palestinian headscarf. This is called a shemach, and it comes from Mesopotamia. It was worn by Jews and by Mesopotamian Babylonians for thousands of years, and then the Palestinians stole it in the 70s and started using it for terrorism. Isn't that amazing? This has nothing to do with Palestine. Absolutely nothing, my friends. Nothing at all.
Free is Israel.
Look at them. Look at that. Look at this guy. What are you doing, buddy? Get that off your head. And you too. What are you guys doing?
And so the freedom that you have, Diana, is because the only country in the Middle East where there is freedom is the state of Israel, from which you benefit, and you should be thankful for it.
I'm not grateful at all.
Because the only country in the
Give me back my country. The audacity. Go. Get out. Go away.
Where Arabs can elect their officials, be elected, be judges at the Supreme Court, be president of a university. The only free country in the Middle East is Israel.
Dan, do you want to respond to that?
I find it staggering that the gentleman to my right is telling the Palestinian citizen of Israel how she is experiencing the reality under which she lives. It's a staggering moment for me. Now, there were different strands to Zionism, okay? There was a cultural Zionism, there was a binational Zionism. This could have gone in different directions. From the perspective of 2024, 75 plus years in, the idea that this is just something benign doesn't match with the reality that has been lived. Now, I would say it's clear what this has meant for Palestinians, but I would argue it's not doing what was written on the tin for Jews either. I don't think either Israeli Jewish or global Jewish safety is best served by the actions we see day
Correct, Daniel Levy. We should just go back to living under the Arabs. That'll be this, because clearly the Palestinians have really shown us that they love the idea of living with us in peace and harmony. Like, clearly that's what's been shown to us by every Palestinian governance, right? I'm being sarcastic here for those of you guys who don't get it. We should not live in any reality where there's a Palestinian state. They want to kill us. Whatever her name is, Diana, she's a minority, the fact that she's willing to have a conversation. A minority. Most Palestinians are unwilling to live with the idea of Jews living besides them. Because Arabs are supremacist by nature. Arabism is a supremacist movement. Go look at the history of Arabs. Go. Look at the history of Arabs. Don't trust me. Google the history of Arabs. See how they came about in this region. See how they conquered and conquested and raped and pillaged and killed everybody who wasn't Arab or forced them to convert or put their culture and language on them. You can't have a society where Arabs have to live under a Jewish person. That's demeaning to them. Regardless of how she has equal rights, health care, she's taken care of by an army that protects her. She has the Iron Dome. She has the best passport in the region by far. Okay, well, minus going to the Arab world, but the best passport in the region by far. The best opportunities to succeed career-wise. The most freedom as a woman, as an Arab woman. Of course she doesn't want it because it's demeaning to her to live as an Arab under Jewish law. And that's just what Arab society is like. That's what it is.
Day out in Gaza.
Would you like to respond to what you've heard from the panel?
Please. I think there's a misunderstanding here. There is a separation between Israel and the West Bank, Israel and the occupied territory largely populated by the Palestinians and the State of Israel. In Israel itself, there is a rule of law. There is generally equality between the Jews and the Arabs, and you're misrepresenting it when you say that they are persecuted, and he's damn right in what he says. All the Arab states are dictatorships which do not allow their citizens any freedom, and Israeli Arabs enjoy most of the rights. They may be discriminated against in certain things, but they may enjoy certain rights which Jews do not have. For instance, not serving 3 years, wasting 3 years in the army, for example. Israeli Arabs don't do that.
We don't want to do war crimes.
No, it's fine.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure.
I love how her example is we don't want to do war crimes, as if I'm offered, as a Middle Eastern Jew, as if I'm offered any rights anywhere in the Arab world. Anywhere. Would I be offered rights under a Palestinian state? Absolutely not. Reiterated by the PA, by Hamas. Would I be reiterated? So in Palestinians' agenda, it's Jews get out and die. There is no rights offered to any of us, especially with the fact that we come from here, especially the fact that this is our land, not given by God. I mean, historically, look into, I don't do the whole given by God thing. Look into the ground. Look under the ground. It's all Jewish, predominantly Jewish. There's Phoenician, there's Roman, but most of it is Jewish. And even the ones that are non-Jewish point to the fact that Jewish people lived here, or this was occupied from Jewish people. So in my perspective, on the side of the Palestinians, this is why I don't respect this talking point from them. I'm offered nothing. I'm not allowed to live. I'm just supposed to die.
Palestinians are desperate to serve in the Israeli military right now.
I'm sure you're right.
Thank you for leaving us from
in pre-1967 Zionism and Israel, it was not a colonial enterprise. In the West Bank, there is a colonizing and colonial framework, which is even apartheid-like in its actual workings. But in pre-1967 Israel, that was not the case. And for the first 100 years or so of Zionism, it wasn't a colonial venture. It wasn't a venture of an extension of an imperial. Let me just define colonialism, since you're so busy defining genocide. Imperialism and colonialism were matched together, in which an empire sent its children to dominate and take over a third world country and exploit its riches and its people. This is not what Israel did until 1967.
Emmanuel, do you agree with
It's always, my father didn't lose his land. I have the keys to my house. What about us? The 900,000 Jewish people that were kicked out of their homes in the name of Arabism, the same Arabism that the Mufti of Jerusalem, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, did to the Jews. I don't understand. You guys get to just ignore your shitty history, and you guys just get to ignore the fact that your one and only leader in history, your first and only leader, was working with Hitler to ethnically cleanse Jews from Palestine, pre-Zionism, pre-modern Zionism. You guys get to just run away from that one. It doesn't matter. It's fine. We were going to kill all our Jews. It's fine. No, fuck you. That's what happens. You don't get to plot against murdering all your Jews. That's what happens. You double the amount of Jews. Bang! That's what happens.
That there is a colonial aspect and apartheid-like aspect to the occupied West Bank?
No. Zionism is a national liberation movement that freed its land from Arab Muslim colonialism. How do you think Islam expanded itself from the Arab Peninsula to Indonesia, from Indonesia to
Emmanuel.
Morocco, not from the Holy Spirit?
Let's listen to what Emmanuel says, because now we finally have a solid stream of brainwaves coming out from somebody from this panel.
I think Islam expanded itself from the Arab Peninsula to Indonesia, from Indonesia to Morocco, not from the Holy Spirit. This was conquest and colonialism.
This is exactly the problem, is that he's a racist. He espouses...
Fuck you. Fuck this lady. Are you kidding me? He's a racist? That's your history. That is your history. Arabs didn't just overnight, people didn't just become Arab. Y'all conquested and raped and pillaged and murdered thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. You erased civilizations in the name of being Arab, in the name of being Muslim. And you sit there, you have the audacity to call him racist? You should be embarrassed of yourself. Finally, somebody with a little bit of gumption. This is why I need to get, guys, somebody needs to put me into this fight. You got to tap me in. I will destroy these conversations. People will not know what to do with me. I got this history and the dates on lock.
These racist views. That's the problem with Israel. Israel is a society, a country that is based on this idea of Jewish supremacy, and anything that they do or say goes, which means, therefore, that as a Palestinian who lives in that country, who is not enjoying any benefits of so-called democracy, that they get to espouse and tell me how I feel.
This is a clear. I think Israel should deport this woman. This is not you. This is not a person that should be existing in Israel. She clearly doesn't benefit from it. Go let her benefit from Jordan or Egypt. Let her benefit from America. I don't know. She clearly is not benefit. Israel's not working for her. I'd rather stay with the Arabs who love this country, serve in the army. My friends who are Jews, my friends who are Muslim, my friends who are Bedouin, who live in this country, who do enjoy those benefits, some of which who serve in the army, who are awesome human beings, who love living in Israel. I have Lebanese Christian friends who live here who are Arab as well from Lebanon. Let them stay. She can go. Let her go enjoy her benefits elsewhere in the Muslim world.
They get to make statements like we are a fifth column, and they actually treat Palestinians as though they are a fifth column. It's very important, Mehdi, for people to understand that Israel came to us. We didn't immigrate to Israel. Israel's a colonial movement, and as a colonial movement, its aim is to not only get rid of Palestinians, but it's to transform the entire place, to erase and replace.
Okay, Emmanuel, I want to ask you this. Do you recognize the shifts that Benny was agreeing on at the start of this segment about what's happening inside of Israeli society?
Well, allow me to respond to what Diana just said. She's not telling the truth. What she's saying is not true. First of all, the Jewish country, I mean, there are over 190 states in the world. Most of them are nation states. It's not about supremacy. It is about national self-determination and freedom. Now, we didn't come to you. This is our land.
No, it's not.
This is a Jewish land.
The way that the state was created was
our land. And first of all, when you tell we came to you, it's not. I did not interrupt you.
Diana, let him finish his point, Diana.
Okay. First of all, when you say we've been there for hundreds of years, the word Palestine, it's an invention of British colonialism. It was invented in 1920. It did not exist under the Ottoman Empire.
Again,
so when this story starts, it's a colonial invention.
Palestinians are crazy, man. Western Palestinians are crazy. Look how she tenses up. She's like, Nakba denier. It's like, fuck you, lady. You don't know the truth. What do you mean? You don't know the truth. If you don't know history, that's not my fault. You don't get to just Nakba denier.
Diana, let him finish his point, Diana.
Okay. First of all, when you say we've been there for hundreds of years, the word Palestine, it's an invention of British colonialism. It was invented in 1920. It did not exist under the Ottoman Empire.
Again,
so when this story starts, it's a colonial invention. So when you say Palestine, and you can't even pronounce it in Arabic because there's no P in Arabic, that's why we say Philistine, right?
There's no J in Hebrew.
We did not.
That's not true. There is a J in Hebrew. She's like, there's no J in Hebrew. I got to make a point towards the end of this video, just for anybody who needs clarification, who might not agree with me. I've been carrying these around with me for 10 years while traveling around the world. Just so when I was traveling and there were stupid travelers there who wanted to debate me about this stuff. Let me see if my camera could focus. All right, this is a coin from the British Mandate of Palestine. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. All right, I want you to look at this coin very carefully. On this coin, there are 3 names, okay? In Hebrew, Arabic, and English. You can read the English one. It says the word Palestine. And then in Arabic, it says Palestine, okay? And then in Hebrew, it says Palestina. Palestina right next to it in Hebrew has an Aleph and a Yud in parentheses. You can see that. Oh, it's focusing on my face. Look at Aleph and Yud. You see that little parentheses? Try to read it carefully. I know I'm moving a bit. This is from 1927. It says Aleph and Yud. The Hebrew letters Aleph and Yud. Aleph standing for Eretz, which means the land, and Yud standing for Israel, land of Israel. Even in 1927, during the Ottoman Empire, or during the British Empire, and before that during the Ottomans, look at any land documents about the land of Palestine, they always had attached the land of Israel, okay? 2 more coins that I'm going to show you, and I might do this in every video because I carry these around with me now just to prove Palestinians wrong. Here you have a coin from the Umayyad dynasty, one of the first caliphates to conquer. Let's see if I can get this to focus. We're doing a little history lesson with Tal here. All right, try to get this to focus. Come on, focus, camera. There it is. See this coin right here? In Arabic, this is like a 600-year-old coin. Okay, it says La la illallah, which means there's only one God. But God behind it, on the other side of the coin, it says Muhammad is Allah's prophet here in Arabic. And on that coin, you see what that is? That is a 5-branched menorah. Because even when the Arabs colonized Jerusalem, and this was minted in Jerusalem about 600, 700 years ago by the Arab Muslims who conquered and conquested here, they acknowledged that they had conquered this land from the Jewish people and its Jewish heritage. And if you want to go back even further, I have a 2,000-year-old coin here from the Roman occupation of Jerusalem. Okay? Let's see if it focuses. Come on, give me some focus, camera. Give me some focus, baby. Don't play with me. This is a coin from the Roman occupation of Judea. And on this right here, it says freedom to Zion in ancient Hebrew. Lecherut Zion. Freedom to Zion. Zionism, about 2,000 years ago, in the ground in Jerusalem. These aren't planted by Jews. These aren't archaeological dunces that people just threw in the ground because they wanted to claim Palestinian land. There's never been a Palestinian state. There's never been a Palestinian country. There's never even really been a Palestinian people. Am I willing to live alongside a self-determining group of people called Palestinian? Yes. But I expect of you to acknowledge your history. You can't be Philistine, Judean, Greek, Phoenician, Canaanite, Muslim, Arab, Roman, Greek, and everything in between. You're one, or you're all, or you're nothing. You can't be everyone, okay? At least us, our Jewish people, we keep our heritage. We acknowledge where we came from. That's the end of my Tech Talk. I love you guys very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you a long time. Goodbye, clats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.